What's up, guys? Hi. So I'm going to be breaking down my Tesla trade on 26th October. It was a swing trade, and it was based on an incoming catalyst, which was Chinese EV numbers, which are going to come on 28th October. So it was a swing expiring on 30th October. It was an out of the money call option, and I'll be telling you the reason why I took the trade and what possibly went wrong in the trade. And I actually made a couple of mistakes, which I would like to tell you, and I'd like to share that how I identified them as mistakes and how you could potentially avoid them in the future and make your trades better. So that was the trade idea, and I'll show you. So I'll try to explain why I stuck to my plan even if it went against me, and I had strict areas where I would be looking to exit the trade, and there were strict areas where I would be looking to add into my trade. And that particular thing I messed up a bit, and I kind of violated a rule, and that was due to recency bias, and it's a very common bias that traders usually have. So let's straight jump into the trade idea, the trade setup, and how I executed, where I made mistakes, and what can be learned from that. So this is the chart. Second. So this is the setup on Tesla. So this is a 15-minute chart, and I was wanting to play a positional swing play. So let me give you the background of what actually happened the previous days. So you can see this big flush on Tesla right here off the open from 22nd of October, and that was because China, some of these Chinese built Teslas, which were built from the Shanghai factory, actually were recalled. And they were recalled because of a technical problem. So, them being recalled was a negative, very negative thing for Tesla, and the stock just flushed and it again gapped down. So, it took good support at 407.83 level. So, you can see this particular low. So this was quite it took decent support and then closed very strongly, breaking 416 and closing approximately near the open. So I had a I knew that the closing was good, and next morning the catalyst was okay. So the market was really weak. So Tesla was still gapping down, but Tesla individually had an incoming catalyst, and so I thought it could be a momentum play on the upside. That markets pulled back a bit, and there was elections also, approaching. So it was a good idea for me to play it for 4 days, the weekly expiry, and that was the main thing. And Chinese sales numbers have always, beaten expectations. The last 4 or 5 times they've come, I've did it multiple times, and it turned out to be good for me. So that was the trade idea that I was actually looking for. So what the trade was is that I wanted to I wanted to go long right at this 416 break, but I didn't get executed properly here. So I tried to get long just above 416 break, but could not get filled here, and then it rallied up. So this particular thing rallied up straight till here, and then I was basically looking for the previous day's close should should probably get broken. So that was what I was looking for, and I made an entry once it broke this high. So if I just zoom it, you'll be able to see it in a better way. So once this particular thing was broke, so it's a 15-minute chart, mind you. So this is a 15-minute chart. So when I missed this particular entry here, I did not get filled. I could have been aggressive by hitting the ask, but I was getting into two contracts here worth $2,000, but I could not get filled here. So I just ignored the trade. So I waited for it to consolidate to pull back. It pulled back briefly and then it just popped. So the next 15-minute candle close was really strong. And then I switched to 5 minute to find a potential place to enter. The green signal for me to go long in this trade was number one, Nasdaq was very strong that day, and it had broken the after hours high that was made. So this thing was taken out, and this particular thing acted as an intraday support area previously. So now this level was broken on a closing basis. So I went long right at the start of this candle, and this was my first entry here. So now what went wrong in this trade was it got rejected badly from this place. So this particular wick or these highs, Tesla could not really take off. And my whole idea was that if I'm willing to enter at this particular price after this, big volume push here, I wanted to see Tesla break 430s and then move on to 440s because of the positive catalyst that was coming. And from the start of this trade, I had a time frame in mind that it's going to take maybe a couple of days for this whole trade to work out because I was expecting kind of a from $422 levels, I was expecting a move up till 440s. So that was possibly an $18 move on the upside. And on the downside, I was waiting for 407 levels. So basically, this particular previous day support was an area where I was looking to, place my stops. So what essentially happened here is that once it got rejected, I was skeptical that okay, Tesla could actually fail from here. But what was interesting was other EV stocks, Neo, Fisker, Li Auto, Xpeng, and even General Motors, everyone was strong. So I thought that let me wait for maybe a VWAP pullback. Maybe it pulls in till the VWAP and then forms a higher high and then goes on to break this because I could see a lot of buyers on the tape once this particular level was broken. So that was the idea. But then Nasdaq started to kind of get weaker, and at this point, like my premium, so since I bought at the high break here, I paid a lot of premium, right? I at least paid 25 to 30% more in the premiums. And I was aware of that because I was looking to play a momentum play on the upside. And in Tesla, you have to sometimes, if you want to play momentum, you have to pay some extra bucks to just get involved in the right play. So I did that, but once this rejection happened, I expected a pullback till the VWAP. So mentally, I knew that my PN is going to be red for a while, till it pulls back to the VWAP. Now the mistake that I made was I was quite comfortable in the long position even after this pullback, like even after these two candles, because I knew there was a lot of strength in the play. Once this VWAP push happened, I added another contract here. So now this is a mistake. I was looking to add only at this break. So I wanted the strength to continue around the 425, 426 levels. Like I wanted this to break properly and then add, and kind of impulsively and kind of having a bias because this similar thing happened in Zoom day before. Zoom did a similar structure, pulled into the VWAP and then bounced. It made a very big breakout candle. And I saw a similar thing happening in Tesla. The tape was really good. There were buyers holding the bids. But when I added right at this particular point of time, I kind of averaged my position, and that the reason for that averaging was I usually only layer my positions or I only add when my position is a winning position. But here, since this candle after the 15-minute close, I realized this is a indecision and a reversal kind of a it's indicating bearishness here, and it is clearly not indicating bullishness. So I basically wanted to add more at the VWAP pullback just to get more value out of my position, but this was a mistake. I should have waited till here, and kind of that bias for a delivery expectation beat from Chinese sales numbers forced me to do this. So now I'm into two lots with an average price of $10. I'll be showing you the executions. But what happens next is this. So once it broke the VWAP, so now my reason to sell, one of my reasons to sell is a VWAP break on a closing basis, and this particular thing had happened. But I kind of stuck to my position, and the reason for that was I had a stop of $408, as I told you. So just below this 407.50s, I had a stop, and the reason for that stop was very obvious. It took support right here, and you could see a very good spike in volume around this level. So there was some buying interest here, and I would not want to be exiting the trade after such a premium hit. So I was expecting, my mental stop was a break of day low, and my hard stop was a break below 407.80s. So at this particular point, my PNL was red, and I was down 20 to 30%, I think, on my investment here. but I knew for the fact that if Tesla has a good positive catalyst, it could be bought up by the end of the day. So I held into my position, and I understood my trade idea that I will only get out once this is broken, because if I'm looking to trade a break above this, it could potentially bounce from this level, consolidate, and then move up. So I was looking at that, and then it started to make some indecision candles here. So that I was expecting that after these dojis it should push up now, but there was weakness in Nasdaq. So basically, I knew it was a positional trade. I understood the risk, and I had set my stop losses, and then I was just waiting after each 15-minute candle close what the stock is doing. So again, it tried to consolidate here, and then this is the place where I got really, really I had to think about my position because my position was bleeding. Like my option contract was down 45%. So I had $2,000. I think I had a $2,000 position, and it was down $700 or $800 because the premium took a big hit because I bought literally at the highs, and it came back down all the way to 4 tenths. So it actually fell 3.5%, and I was not expecting this. But still, my stop was 50% of the thing, because in swings you have to sometimes hold on to a position longer than you anticipate, because you don't really want to be caught into that premium flush that's happening. And there is a IV skew also that happened. So I was mentally prepared that, okay, I'm willing to take a loss only if it breaks 40780. That's how it will break the structure. So even after seeing my PNL being blood red, I kind of ignored that, and I was like, okay, let me stick to my plan. And then this bullish engulfing candle happened, and this happened with decent volume. So now I thought of adding to my position, but then I again stopped. So I did not make another mistake of adding more size, even if the trade was not working exactly how I expected it to be. So my only place I decided to add would be a break of 428. If it happens today, tomorrow, day after, whatever day it happens, I'm gonna play a 428.50 break only, and I'm gonna be adding more size to that. But before telling you like what happened next to the trade, I would want to tell you like how important this particular trend line just coming from the top is, and that was potentially an area where I wanted to go long above the break of this particular area. So this is the day where I entered into this particular position, and you can see this. So this particular trend line has is a steep trend line coming from the last swing high, and it kind of respected this thing really well. So I was basically, you know, on this particular day when I saw this bullish engulfing candle, I was expecting now for it to test the VWAP again, because now if it failed the VWAP again, I had to make a decision. I had to take a decision whether to hold this trade overnight or to just book the loss and then decide the next day. If it breaks 428, I'll be looking to go long. But the closing was really nice, and it was with good volume. It was with a good build up. So Tesla actually covered from 410s to 421.22 levels. So it is exactly at the place at which at the place where I had actually built my position, approximately there. But I still was down like 35 to 40, 30 to 35% on my premiums due to this decay and the IV skew that happened. So it's very important for you that if you're taking a swing positions and options, and if you're entering at a dangerous place like this, you need to be very, very sure about your trade idea. Because if this would have taken my stop loss, it would have taken away maybe $1,000 in this trade. But I was expecting at least a $2,000 winner from this trade if potentially this thing broke. It did not happen, and I had to accept that. So now when this closed here, I was expecting two things the next day. Number one, it should not break 416. If 416 is broken, I'll get out of the trade immediately at the open. But what happened is it kind of gapped up, and now there was a catalyst for Tesla that the sales numbers are they're expected to be good. So JP Morgan, I think, came out with a note that their sales numbers are decent, and they're expecting them to grow. But obviously there was a slight market share hit that Tesla took in China due to BYD Neo and other EV companies. So I was looking for a 428 break and a break over the trend line. So once this candle closed, I was green on the trade. Like I recovered all the losses that were there from the last day unrealized losses that my PNL was showing. And then I saw this rejection right at 428 and a wick right at the trend line. So this is where I decided that I'm not going to be greedy and I'm going to stick to my this thing that I wanted to break. So I exited both my contracts, I think, on this particular VWAP break. So I waited for this to, maybe potentially retest this level and go back up. But once this thing closed around 425 levels, so exactly where I entered, I exited the next day and I took a $150 loss. And it ultimately like kind of started to attempt to go again, but it couldn't really break it properly. So yeah, obviously this thing failed here and I was out here and I took $150 loss. So the mistake in this whole trade was this. So I'll just share where I added my size and why was it wrong according to me. So this is my $156 loss in Tesla, and these are the executions. So this is the place where I first took my entry. $11.10 was the contract price at that particular point of time. I took it and immediately, so you can see this execution here at 10:16, and at 10:38 I added one more size, like a one more lot I added. So $2,000 the total exposure that I had, and this is the PNL. So $156 was, so it's a combined PNL of both the days, because if I only take 27th, it would have been a profit of, I think, $300, because on a day-to-day basis, it was a profit because I had been in a loss on 26th of October. So whatever it is, just ignore these. These are holdings. Tesla $156 loss I took. So my average price was somewhere around 1050s, I think. And this is what my executions were. And I exited both the trades at around 10:11 Eastern time at $9.13. So basically took a $150 combined loss on both the contracts. So it's still acceptable for me. So I took a less than 10% loss. So I think I took a 7.5% loss on my position, where I would be looking to make around 30 to 40%. So from a risk reward point of view, it works perfectly. And yeah, so it was a losing trade. It was a red day recap for me. But I just wanted to share like where potentially I made a mistake while adding. And the thing that I did wrong was to not, I shouldn't have added before a confirmation. And I shouldn't really have been biased about this trade when the market was weak and when Tesla had flushed already from these highs. So I should have probably waited for this zone to clear up for building a long position. But then that's the catch. If this zone is broken with very, very high volume, which Tesla has done before, the premium spike up and then I basically lose an opportunity. So I was trying to build up a core position here. So according to my idea, it was fine to do this, but adding was a mistake, and that is something that I would like to improve on. The good thing that I did was I respected my mental stop. So this is the day low, and this thing did not really properly break this low. And at this point, like I was about to almost exit at least one contract just to reduce the risk. But I waited for another low, and that's one of my rules, that I will wait for another low to get formed for a confirmation, because the volumes all throughout were really, really low. So that's why I expected that some demand would be there. And see, exiting at this point, $1.5, just $1.5 away from the demand zone, it's gonna be foolishness because it's a positional trade and it's not an intraday trade. So I waited and that kind of paid off. And even on this day, like I actually covered most of my unrealized losses. So yeah, that was the trade breakdown from my side, and I hope you enjoyed this. For more such content, please consider subscribing to the channel, and thank you.